Right. Anyway, he has actually pressed the button.
Welcome to Game of Nodes, a weekly podcast on the cosmos from independent validator teams.
Hello and welcome to Game of Nodes, a weekly podcast on the cosmos from independent validator teams. This week we've got Zeke and Noah from DAO DAO. We're going to talk DAO DAO 2, DAO harder, and a variety of other things that have happened in the last week. Obviously, we've, basically completely because of this podcast, the hottest meme in the cosmos is the corporate meme. I think, that's basically Game of Nodes. Right. Basically. Well, people want in on that one. So
Blockpain and I got shamed for the corporate for using the
I saw
corporate.
that. Somebody was not a fan, huh?
I had that in the spreadsheet, Schultzy.
That's
saw it.
Further down the list, Schultzy. Come on, bro.
Okay.
We should skip right ahead to this, Schultzy. Yep. Come on.
Yeah,
this is great. I love it. So what?
Tell us.
What I saw was somebody on Twitter having a go at you, right? But what was their deal? What was their problem?
I'm not really sure. What it seemed like was, the issue was that other NFTs like people can just buy into, and therefore like it's accessible to anyone. Whereas the corporate stuff, it wasn't an NFT, and therefore only the in crowd could use it. That's my read on what he was saying, and I was kind of like, but this is all voluntary. If you ask for it, then you will receive. So that makes it kind of more accessible.
Yeah.
It was really, really strange argument. I think what he's saying is that validators having like just fun was not professional and that it shouldn't be like done. And so that they were undelegating.
You're right. That was definitely part of it as well. Of like the other stuff is all fun and games, but I delegate to you because I want a professional outfit. I forgot about that aspect of it.
Clearly not a watcher of this show. Clearly, I've never seen Game of Nodes.
Yeah, I definitely lose delegations every Wednesday at
2100 UTC.
So it's like, so the argument is like, because this is actually spontaneous internet culture, and I can't financially engage with it to buy to mint a shit NFT that will decline in value. I feel gatekept and excluded.
Look, nothing against the dude. It didn't seem like what he was saying made much sense to us, but I'm sure he's got his own reasons for wanting a professional validator that doesn't have fun.
What have you been full politic for? Where's the real null? It's like invasion of the body snatchers over there in Australia. What's going on?
I'm wearing my corporate attire today. I have to be more professional.
So what you're saying is that if people want to undelegate from the unprofessional Goose 5 validators, they can redelegate to Kingnodes.
Yeah, because it's still Christmas here.
Yeah, what the fuck? It's fucking February.
Is that a Christmas tree?
It is.
It's a Christmas tree, yeah.
With 4 inches of dust on it.
So I'm actually I'm back in. Remember the place where my internet always used to fuck up? I'm back in that town and back in that house. It's like this other dude's house who I don't really know very well. It's actually that's where I was outside. The internet was fucking up bad, so I was out like hanging it in a tree. So it's pretty good now.
Yeah.
So your phone's up the tree, and
my phone's outside in the tree.
Sensational. Okay,
sensational.
Rural Australia, folks. Rural Australia. Blockpain in the chat. Another man who's been shamed for his corporate affiliation.
Yep.
Love it.
I really want to see the rest of Zeke's room there. Like,
what, the closet?
The closet.
Well, is he in the closet? Like,
yes, you've been in closets, right? That's a closet. Like, I know what a closet looks like.
Zeke, it looks like he's rented a very small amount of office space and just like hung everything he owns on the walls.
Yeah, I give you a full tour of mine. It's actually clean right now. It's my closet office.
Look at that.
Oh, wow. It is actually a closet for an office. Holy shit.
Legitimately just a walk-in closet. This is my room.
Yeah. Okay.
My bike.
There's a bike.
And this is what I look like.
Wow.
It's
pretty good.
Holy shit, man. Is there a bedroom? Is there a bathroom there? Is this like college or something?
It's the window.
No. Well, I've got it. There's a living room as well. This is my office suite, as they
It's
say.
office suite.
There's a bathroom around the corner.
Right.
I'm so confused, man. Is this at college or something, or is there like?
This is a adult living situation in the Bay Area.
So no, in other countries that aren't Australia, they have two things, right? They have a shortage of space, and they also have buildings that are more than one story. It's like it's wild, right? You should really. Denver is going to blow your mind, right? There's a lot of places there that are 3, 4 stories.
This house has 5 bedrooms and no one lives here.
Australia.
Australia.
There you go.
Yeah, Australia.
How much does it cost?
I don't know. It doesn't cost me anything. I called the dude one day and asked him if I could stay here when I'm in town, and he said yes. It's like a friend of a friend, and he's never here. He's a helicopter mechanic.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty like Christmas tree.
Okay.
So there's like, it's on a farm too. It's like,
Whoa.
this is
Oh, shit,
Yeah,
you
look
have
at that.
grass at your house?
Oh my god. Friend of a friend's house.
yeah,
Yeah.
Holy shit, you have grass?
Dude.
yeah, man. It's like a whole ass paddock out here and shit. There's cows somewhere.
Oh, shit.
It's
Bloody
like,
duh.
This is the goal right here.
There it is.
yeah, I always come from like unique locations every week.
Yeah, to be fair, you guys have got like a lot of grassland in the Midwest. You could go to. You know, you could get yourself a farm
Yeah.
out there. Podcast from the farm. Wouldn't have to be in a closet.
That's an office.
Sorry, the walk-in office.
That's a.
Harvey
that's a
says
bing bong.
bing bong in the background. Maybe he did he see a kangaroo or something out there?
No, I think there's an excess
Oh.
N in there.
Oh, right. There's a bong on the shelf.
I need to figure out how to orient this so that it's
There you go.
visible for
Perfect.
our viewership.
Perfect.
There we go.
Zeke, that's your inspiration pipe for front end, right?
It's a front end inspiration pipe.
This is actually how I get. Yeah, most of my things I do just chilling in the closet, ripping the bong,
There you are.
typing on the keyboard.
I feel like a lot of my memories of the West Coast of the last, I don't know, well, since legalization have been we were doing something and something, and of course, smoking weed. Just like, oh yeah, we were in like Dolores Park. Oh yeah, we were smoking weed, and there was some cops. That just after legal, I think it was like shortly after legalization, I went over and that happened where there were like cops, and I just had this sudden fucking moment where I was like, oh shit, I'm going to American jail. And then I remembered like everybody around me was totally calm, and I was like, everybody around was calm. It's because it's legal. We're all good. I'm not going to the big house. Yes, can't touch me. But yeah. So, hey, you know what? I've got a question because we could talk about DAO DAO, but I'm kind of
We
curious.
could, but
I could have asked Usurper. I could have asked Schultzy. How are you guys like in the US? Do you have honey laundering?
honey?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, like honey, like bee honey.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Right. Do you have counterfeit honey? Is that like a big problem for you guys?
I haven't even heard of that.
Can't say I've heard of it. Yeah.
Like
No.
when you buy honey, what does it say on the pack? Like, does it say
Well,
where it's
it
made?
usually says honey, but it could be a really good
It
counterfeit.
says honey.
I've never actually tested my honey before.
Yeah, I've never tested my honey. Yeah.
All right.
So the Frey, are you talking about like sugar paste or some shit where they've like manufactured honey?
Yeah,
out of sugar?
right. So a lot of honey is fake honey, isn't it? But I was kind of wondering, I was just okay. One of the many things I was doing, we were talking about this before the show. There are a lot of things I should have done today. I spent an hour photoshopping a Gary Larson shitpost. One of the many things I did
It's
today
fucking good,
instead of
though.
working was I was just thinking about honey, and I was like, can you sell counterfeit honey in America and get away
What?
with it? And so I thought, hey, what a great topic for a validated technical podcast.
Where did the honey piece come from? That Gary Larson is full of chickens.
Yeah, no, but it's like a farm and then bees, I guess.
Okay.
And then I to be fair, and then I had some toast with honey. That was great.
Oh, there you go.
Highlight of the day.
Was it real honey?
Yeah. Scottish single origin honey.
Why are you
from
shaking your head
Single
like that?
origin. Jesus
Single
Christ.
origin.
So
It's not out of one
Australia,
bee.
Yes,
We get a lot of, like,
one very tired
just one
bee.
fucking bee.
we get a lot of fake maple syrup here, which is like,
Yes, there is fake maple syrup. Yes,
yeah, we get that.
it's just
Is,
it's
not
just
real.
is this fake in the sense that you purchase it thinking it's truly maple syrup and then it reveals
you're like,
itself
oh
to be
shit,
not?
this is fucking brown water. Fuck.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah,
I
there's
guess it's just sugar syrup, isn't it? Basically,
It's just high. It's
Yeah,
just high
there-
fructose corn syrup. Yeah.
there is maple. So they do write it something different on the package. It's like maple flavored syrup, maple flavored syrup, and then
Right.
maple syrup. Yeah,
And the flavor
So
is
the
like
maple
asterisk
flavored
tiny
syrup
letters
is
or
like-
something.
yeah, it's like, flavored real small. But that shit is just sugar water, thick sugar water with like some flavor.
Right.
Whereas the other shit comes from actual trees. Yeah.
I haven't heard of
Why
fake.
is our viewership going to fucking 2? And presumably one of those is usurper.
maybe we had a lot of honey laundering.
Too much honey.
They're just like, stop insulting our business. We're legitimate business people.
That can't be right. There's
Just-
more people in the chat. What the hell?
Just because we're adulterating our honey doesn't mean that we should be discriminated against.
We started out at 7 and went to 2 real quick.
I think they want to
guess
watch the recording.
They're coming-
Hundreds, thousands are just waiting.
They're
for the
coming back.
recording.
They want to get past the honey conversation.
They need to do it like 0.5 speed. We're just going really fast.
Do they actually call
Ben
it honey
Davis is
laundering?
just going. Well, Ben Davis is just going to confirm that he has, in fact, had honey for breakfast and not counterfeit honey.
I mean, you should go. You should check that. So, I don't know about American packaging laws, but in Europe, I think in Europe it's also changed. So Britain had the old European system, and I think there's now a new European system. But because we did that really stupid thing in 2016, we've now only got the old one. So what they have to do is say where it's from, and if it's a blend, and if it's a blend, it's fake because you don't have to say the proportions. You don't have to say the proportions, right? So you just say, oh, it's a blend of honey from somewhere in Europe, where, and somewhere from outside of Europe, where. And there's some like hilarious stat basically about I think it's China is I think it's like China specifically. You know the thing about how Italy exports something like 4 times as much olive oil as it has the capacity in olive trees to actually export, right? Yeah. And so you're like, okay, good. It's like the same thing where they're like their honey production has gone up by like 4 times, but the number of commercially kept beehives hasn't increased for like 15 years. So you're like, those bees are clocking in a lot of extra hours. I know there's a whole
Bees
7.
are improving. Bees are hitting record productivity numbers recently.
Yeah, exactly. The bees are just clocking in extra shifts. They're doing the whole 7. What was that? The crazy guy from AliExpress? Is it 7/7/14 or whatever that thing is, where you work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week? That's the bees basically. So unless the bees are doing that, then production can't. This is what I'm talking about. See, Ben Davis in the chat has been defrauded. It's fake honey.
It's fake honey.
Okay, like all I'm saying, right, is go find some actual honey from a beekeeper, and it's really fucking expensive, by the way. That's a really good way.
I mean,
of
that's a
telling
sign,
actual
right?
honey.
Yeah, but yeah.
Well, so there's like I don't know, like organic honey in the supermarket or from like a farm shop will be about £4. I guess it's about $5-6. Honey that's come from a farm or a beekeeper will probably cost between £6 maybe and £8. So that's like about $10. Get one of the ones that's like $10 from an actual beekeeper and taste it, and you'll be like, okay, that's what honey tastes like. Oh my god. And it will, like, you're like, oh my god, I think I've just been eating fake honey for the last. This is
How much worse is it?
What's that?
How much worse is it?
Fake honey?
Tastes the same fucking same.
No, it's really different. And the consistency is really different as well. Like it's not as sticky. It kind of like tips off the. Well, it depends where the bees are, like what they primarily like kind of forage on and stuff as well. Like, different.
You can definitely get like flavored honeys and stuff depending on what regions and that you get them from.
Yeah, if you get like honey in the south of France from a proper, whatever, it will taste totally different because it'll be like, I don't know, whatever plants they have in the south of France. I sound like an idiot now. Not lavender.
The dude I get my honey from, like, last time.
You're in the bush when you got a honey dude.
Well, the last time.
I just pictured Noah like beekeeper.
Dude, you're the old.
Walking up to this guy and tapping him on the shoulder and being like, "All right, mate, can I come?"
You are the only one here with a honey guy. Let me tell you that. I know that for sure.
I mean, the last time I saw my honey dude, he gave me 10 liters of honey, so I haven't seen him for like 3 years.
My honey dude.
He just gave me like,
God.
the blue jerry cans that you have. It's just like a water bottle. It's basically like a 10-liter jerry full of honey. But it tastes like yellow box and like summer.
What is yellow box?
It's like a tree.
It's a jellyfish, or it's something that kills you. It's Australia, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
probably.
something-
It's a tree of
It's a
jellyfish.
deadly snake.
It's a tree, a spider, and a jellyfish all in one. It's really
Yellow
it's
box is
everywhere.
a species of timber over here. It's like smoky.
Is it a
flavor.
eucalyptus? Not a eucalyptus. What's the thing I'm thinking of? The non. Because all your like loads of trees in Australia are that particular type of tree, aren't they? Is it? No, it's not. Is it eucalyptus? I'm thinking of.
Thought it was.
Yeah, maybe it is eucalyptus. I'm thinking of.
It's a eucalyptus. Yeah.
Okay, we've already done the
Confirmed.
cassowary chat, so let's
Confirmed.
Let's we should probably move off of honey laundering.
Well,
'cause
one of the things one of
the interesting subject to me anyway. You can tell that this is the mood that I've been in all day that has resulted in not getting
Hang on,
serious work done.
before you follow on, this is quite interesting. Apparently, local honey helps with hay fever. The more you know.
Only
I
local.
don't know if that's true or not, but it seems cool.
only local to who?
Yeah. It comes from the city of yeah.
Will it be a way of essentially like inoculating yourself on the pollen from the local area?
That seems like a stretch.
Is it honey that's anti-inflammatory?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't see how it could be. It's fucking sugar.
I think you can mummify yourself.
I think the not sugar parts of it have a lot of health benefits.
Does honey laundering have tax implications?
The question is, can we make money from honey laundering?
That's true.
Is that something we can do on this podcast? Yeah, I don't know. In answer to that question,
Well, isn't that the question that the Bee Movie tried to answer with Seinfeld? If honey has tax implications, and then they like sued the government for not paying them for stealing their honey or something.
It fucking always comes back to tax on this goddamn show.
wait, hang
Every
on. So,
time.
wait. I've only seen the Bee Movie where every time they say "bee," it doubles in speed. I've not seen the film, but I've just seen like a 5-minute version of it where it gets progressively more insane. But I've not.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's about.
Jake is showing up and is giving us shit for ignoring our fucking guests already.
No, they're participating.
Jake shows up. He
Yeah,
doesn't show
I
up.
don't feel ignored.
They're not ignoring.
Jake didn't show. So
Look.
something you guys don't know is I arranged a prank for the other week, which is that when Sisler was going to be coming on to talk about the media DAO, I invited Jake and didn't tell you guys because I thought it would be really funny if Sisler started talking about a DAO and then like 15 minutes in, Jake just turned up and it was just like, hey, you just mentioned DAOs.
Hey.
Jake appeared.
Frank's
say DAO 3
on
times.
you. He didn't fucking show
I
up.
think Jake overslept or something and then just didn't show up. And I was just like, oh, well, I didn't mention it to anybody, so I'll just not mention it. But
So anyway, for the audience, just so you know, we have a spreadsheet of an agenda that we like to follow. All right. So we're working our way down the spreadsheet, Jake. So on that,
Honey at the top, and then the
There's
next
still fucking
5
honey
items
on
are
this.
still honey.
Honey laundry
I
is
mean, they
oh,
pulled
shit,
that
it is on
honey
the
one
list.
up from
Honey.
the bottom.
Wow.
Hey, the-frey, did you want to engage in your degen minute?
well, I was going to do drill. I was actually going to do drill tweet of the week.
Well, that's not the fucking order that you put in the spreadsheet. So,
Well, we're doing it out of order because it's one of those days. The priorities
all
are
right,
fucked.
hit the drill tweet, man. Hit the
Okay,
drill
so the random one we've come up with this week is in the gaming section. Can't wait till my teeth fall out so I can get those new gamer dentures all the chat rooms are screaming about. That's the drill tweet of the week. I hope that was enlightening for everybody.
God tier.
And
When you say
what-
these are random, do you just like flick to a page and put your finger on something?
yeah, I just flick to a page and put my finger on it. It's the first one. I mean, the one last week was fucking horrific. Like, you could tell they're random or pseudo random. I guess I'm probably not going to pick because I'm flicking the book. I guess I probably am not going to pick one from the first or the end. So they're
but also you're likely to hit the same one at some point because of your, the fashion in which
big
you do
book. I mean,
it.
it says over 1,500 good posts, 10 years of great content. So there's a lot of tweets to go through.
1,450 episodes ago.
I'm beginning to think that is like 10 years of mediocre content.
Was that not a banger? I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah, what are you trying to say about that tweet, Noel?
It's a solid 6.5.
If that was on Howl, that would make pennies.
Fucking making money right now.
So many pennies.
Lots and lots of.
Are you going to slide into your degen minute now? Or are you going to save that for
I don't
later?
think I'm not sure there's a purpose to degen minute because we haven't really.
You literally just launched Howl.
I'm going to give you the keys to the Lamborghini.
Okay, we're going to do a degen minute. Fine. So
Fine.
We just fucking YOLO launched Howl the other day. There you go. That was accomplished much more quickly than 1 minute. You can check it out at beta.howl.social. Yeah, that's right. It's still beta software. It's unaudited, so be fucking careful. It's a micropayment system. So one of the more funny things has been people realizing that they're not going to get rich off of a micropayment system with a CW20.
Oh shit!
If they don't, and in addition, if they don't post content that people stake to or delegate to, and you're like, yeah, it's because we tried to build a functioning application. So yeah, sorry, you can't just farm. I guess it's wild. It's wild. People realizing you built an actual thing rather than just everything's a Ponzi, right? But it's less of a Ponzi than an actual Ponzi, and people are just like, what? But I wanted a Ponzi.
It's fucking bullshit, man.
This is bullshit. I wanted a Ponzi.
This is my exit
There are
strategy.
varying levels of Ponzi, and your Ponzi is not that Ponzi.
Yeah.
bit disappointing.
Lowercase p.
Which led to my productivity falling off a cliff today when instead of actually dealing with UI bugs, I instead made this Photoshop of the mood on Twitter after launching Howl.
How long did you work on that degens?
That was 45 minutes of my life I'm not getting back.
That's pretty fast. It's really good.
And
At least you're getting good at Photoshop, bro.
Well, yeah, but Gary Larson did all the hard work by just photoshopped it. So a friend of the show, when they found out we were going to YOLO launch Howl, sent me this, which I really like. I just something about that meme. Oh, that's sensational. For those of you listening on podcast player, there was a picture of a crocodile, not an alligator. I
didn't see it. I think it was crocodile.
You're Australian, Noel. Was that a
He would
crocodile?
know.
Well, in Australia, that would be an alligator.
Well,
actually, I don't think we have alligators here. That'd be a saltwater crocodile.
Okay, so there was a picture of potentially a saltwater crocodile, and around the meme of this crocodile exiting the water, it said, "He is about to commit a federal crime." Parentheses open. He cannot be stopped. Parentheses close. It's a funny meme, and I'm sure you're glad that I have just verbally described it to you.
Better visual.
Sweating.
Really
I also just want to clarify that in Australia, there's saltwater crocodiles and freshwater crocodiles. America has alligators, and I'm probably sure other countries do as well, but Australia doesn't.
Don't you guys usually have a funny name for those things? You don't call it saltwater crocodile, you call it a chompy or something like that? A
chuzwazza.
Chuzwazza, something like that.
I mean the freshwater crocodiles we call freshies.
There you go. See, I knew it. There had to be something, right?
Are they freshies and salties?
The saltwater ones are just fucking death munchers, I guess.
That's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, no alligators though. I don't like the alligators and the saltwater crocodile look the same to me. Maybe they are the same thing. I don't know.
Okay, well, somebody in the chat, if you want to just go ahead and find out what's
do some
going
Googling.
on. What's going on with this whole alligator crocodile thing? That would be cool. So we're very good at ignoring our guests for a whole hour, but I feel like we should probably talk about DAO DAO because it's cool and that.
That's cool. Yeah,
it is cool.
I think the kids like DAOs. The kids are screaming out for DAOs. DAOs have been Drill's been driven them wild since 2008. DAO's been driven them wild since, when was the first? 2013? Nearly as long.
13,
Nearly as vintage as Drill.
16.
Yeah. So, guys, DAO DAO version 2. Like, what should we be hyped about? Like, we're boomers, right? We're just boomers. We're looking at the app. We're going, what's a DAO? What's a DAO? I just hear this. I see this guy who looks a bit like Spike from Cowboy Bebop. He just goes DAO, 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 DAO. I can't follow that guy, but I want you guys.
That was quite the reference. I don't think anyone's going to get that.
Are you talking about what's
Spicy.
hyped now, or what's going to be hyped in the future?
What are the most hype features? Like, let's have a top 3 for DAO DAO version 2. Let's go.
Well, honey laundering to start.
Just like filter out the box.
DAO-based honey laundering.
Right now, honey
Transparent.
laundering, it's really complicated. There's a lot of stuff involved, logistics. You're going to simplify that right down. Decentralize that shit. Decentralize those hives.
And once it's decentralized, it's legal. So.
I think that's how the law works, right?
That's pretty much it.
Oh yeah, I can confirm for you. That's how the law works.
Pretty much
I
it.
was an expert in the U.S. legal system.
I said I used the what's it called? IANAL abbreviation, acronym, whatever. The other day in a conversation, and there were people in that conversation that obviously had never seen that before, and they were like, "You what, mate?" And I was like, "I'm not a lawyer," and they were like, "What?"
Oh.
And I was just like, "Well, but anyway, moving on."
Yeah.
Yes. So, like, I mean, I guess like things I've seen, like you're talking about a lot about sort of like payroll, and obviously all of the additional like kind of features for discovery, and obviously, like I've seen from the other side, from Juno's perspective, like you've been experimenting a lot with indexing and that kind of stuff too. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which you want to talk about first?
Yeah, I mean, I think profiles are really, really big, and they don't immediately seem very big, but I think like now that when you type in an address, you can search by someone's name, which I think like psychologically just really changes how it feels to use it. It feels like you're just interacting with people who are fluidly operating in different organizations. So I'm really excited about that.
I actually
there's
used
been-
that feature I had forgotten what the fuck the address was for the Howl DAO.
Yeah.
Because I'm an idiot. I didn't write it down. So I was just like, fuck. I had to have to go look in the docs. And then I was like, it's fine. I can just like fucking.
Yeah.
So I think
That's
like
That's coming soon.
one of the massive improvements I think you guys have made is like with the indexer has made a huge like change to the user experience for sure. Rather than just like getting anything straight off chain, but like the UI improvements are just really, really nice. And the way, like now that you've got an inbox for votes as well is fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
love that. When are you going, like, are you going to do anything with the profile to be able to make your PFP like one of your NFTs or anything like that, similar to like the Kepler wallet, or is it already like that?
That's how it works. Yeah.
Oh, it's already like that, is it?
You can flex your Stargaze NFTs right now
Right now.
with DAO DAO. DAO DAO, not a name service.
And that's like
So-
ICS 721, isn't it?
Well, they stay on Stargaze, but yeah,
But you still did,
soon you can move them around. Hopefully,
Yeah. Those
What
profiles
is
are off chain, but they're validated by wallet signatures, so you don't have to move any NFTs around to use them. But it is.
So is that using some of the indexer stuff you guys have been doing?
That one's not, because you can just sign like an arbitrary message with a wallet and verify it on a server. But the inbox, the profile oriented features are coming from the indexing.
some high level alpha for this year. For this year, like do some serious stuff. Public key cryptography, guys. It's crazy. It's super cool. And people that have wallets have public keys. So that's what's coming this year.
That's the alpha.
That's the alpha.
You have a public key.
I mean, I don't even know what that
public
means.
Key?
You're here to hear.
I'm
first,
now
folks.
wondering if we've built the same fucking thing. So are you doing something around essentially using the co-located public key with the wallet to then improve the ergonomics of that experience?
Which experience? Just like everything,
like signing, identifying yourself, etc., etc., etc. Because like, you know, the current UX for I am just a wallet, I have a public key, is currently like obfuscated to most developers and to most people to the extent that that public key is not, although it's a whatever the fuck it is, a SEP 251, 261, whatever the fuck it's called. It's not actually like, despite that being a thing that almost every crypto library will support for signing, and obviously is ubiquitous in Cosmos, it's not actually that useful to the user because you can't really access it in a ergonomic way as a developer, or it's a bit of a pain in the ass. Nobody really does it.
Yeah, you can now, and that's kind of what we're hoping to mostly use. I think when you can I think long-term vision is have like a data mobile app that is associated with that public key with the signature, and then you don't have to know that you have this wallet that has this complex blockchain stuff. You just have a private key and it's in your phone's like secure enclave, and you get notifications because you've associated that device with that public key, and it all just kind of works as you would expect like a non-Web3 platform to use.
But the key being is that with the public keys, we can do like, you can have the same or similar authentication guarantees if you require people to sign things. Like I feel like here would be my summary is I feel that right now we put a lot on chain that if instead we put a lot on chain that we could just sign with the user's private key and keep in a Web2 server. And have effect without really sacrificing on all the privacy and security guarantees, and while having the same ergonomics as just using Kepler.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with that, and yeah, it does sound like we've been doing pretty. So the version 2 of the name service is literally is beginning to abstract out the public key from a connected wallet, so that you can essentially just have a DID that's just a public key, because all the rest of it should be essentially elsewhere, and any proof of authority stuff, it has to live in some middle ground between Web 2 and Web 3 anyway. So it's actually an Oracle use case rather than something that you should have as a form fill, and it can be on chain, but it doesn't matter that it is. Essentially, like, you just need some kind of interface, like a protocol, like an Oracle, to say, okay, I have checked, this is real. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then that smart contract is just essentially doing the validation, so that it's not like, you can't just submit whatever the fuck you feel like from the command line, essentially. Which is the other way of getting, anytime you have like a form fill, you can just, if it's just a web app and there's no kind of handshake, what's the point in what we're doing? So, yeah. Anyway, that sounds really cool. But on really concrete other upcoming stuff, I saw there's some stuff about ranked choice voting as well, right? Is that coming? Is that coming imminently?
Dude, yeah, we've been working really hard on that. Yeah, man. I mean, it turns out it's actually pretty hard to do ranked choice voting on a blockchain.
Turns out it's really hard, Matt.
Oh shit.
Yeah, as is frequently the case. It's like, oh yeah, ranked choice, like Blink seems not hard, and then you try to do it on a blockchain and it's like impossible. But we did figure out how to do it. So I wrote a really long essay with a lot of math inside of it about how to do it, if you're curious. But yeah, so we're working on it. It'll have a front end eventually.
yeah, it's really important that we get the design right, because that's how you're gonna interpret it and interact with it. So I think that's waiting on a really good design as well.
I'd say in practice, the DAO DAO development pipeline is we do 3 versions just inside of smart contracts, writing one and then rewriting it, and then writing it again and then rewriting it. And then after all of that, then we eventually go make a design for it and build a front end for it. But we really try to spend a lot, you basically bugs and smart contracts are just actually the worst. You just don't want to have them. They are just such a fucking pain in the ass, And so it's so worth it to just incredibly over-index on testing your contracts and being really slow, because you're not over-indexing. Every time you think you're over-indexing on testing your smart contract, you're not.
Yeah, the number of even it's the thing that always surprised me about Cosmos, and you have the security of Rust, and additionally, the VM not letting you do certain dumb things, and you still get fucked on the reg, and you're just like, no, I am a fucking moron.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I can no longer be like, it's solidity, bro. It's solidity. Like, you can't like. It's like
gonna get
amazing.
It's solidity, bro.
Yeah, it's like, I can't do anything. Sorry, like this language, unusable. But it's like Rust and Wasm. How could it's creme de la creme.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely our fault at this point, and then you're like, that's but maybe I can blame like the halting problem or something, but I don't know. I'm not sure liability, like if you ever end up in like public liability situation, if you're like, well, okay, so Alan Turing, really cool guy, but okay, wild thing called the halting problem. They'll just be like, yeah, okay, fines £50,000, get the fuck out of it. You're like, whoa, we haven't.
Yeah, but listen, like I can prove that in order to show what a computer program does, you have to run the computer program.
Exactly. just be like, get the fuck out of my court. Yeah, that's how the movie ends. That's how we're going to jail. That's the but that's why you want to test your contracts. Well put. Love it.
Yeah. Speaking of just being actually fucking stupid,
I don't think that's a transition.
No,
It's a transition.
It's not where we were.
Story in this. I mean, we're not like. Are we talking about anything remotely coherent? Like, actually, we have the spreadsheet. Excuse me. We are. If I deviate too far, let me know. We can go back. But anyway, speaking of being just fucking stupid, vesting.
Focus.
Okay, let me tell you guys about vesting contracts. You might think vesting. What is it? It's a fucking line, that goes up, and the amount of tokens that you have is how high that line is. Vesting. You start with 0, you get more over time. How fucking hard could it be to write a vesting smart contract? Let me tell you, I legitimately, from noon yesterday until 6 a.m. this morning, with no breaks, tried to write a vesting contract and just failed. It's so hard. I could not do it. I ended up just like not completing my task, and I have to return and think deeply about how vesting works. And so anyway, we have no excuses. We're just like stupid, like lying.
But that was stupid, and Zeke's a bad programmer.
Yeah, but that's allowed. Like vesting is allowed,
blame,
right? Because vesting, well, at least vesting in our model is inherently stateful, and as we know, as soon as you introduce state and you deviate from our pure functional programming, then as soon as we're not just code and data, like you may as well just forget about it, and we all may as well just like go be farmers again. Because
every time I modify like a state.rs file, I'm just like, yeah, like it goes another 20 hours of my life.
Yeah, you do one of those like index maps, and you're like,
all right.
Do I want to do this to myself again? Well, then again, life is meaningless. God is dead. So.
Yeah, I just like subtract 2 days from my lifespan, and then like keep going.
Just you see. I think you've seen the Howl state file for the main contract, and it is one of those where like every time we got to a thing where we were like, this needs to be a secondary index, we were just like, do we have any sanity left? And usually the problem was we didn't have enough, so it was like, well, let's just fucking slap an index. It was just like, I think we had this meme that we used to pull out, which was the guy slapping the roof of the car. It's like this,
put a multi-index on this.
This Cosmwasm contract can fit so much more state in it. And we were kind of like, even on the beta, we were like moderately surprised it didn't just fucking blow up in some way, because it was just like, the things you look at, I guess the thing is we looked at like the performance of AMMs and stuff like that, and you're like, those guys are getting more stressed out. They're doing more damage, if you like. But then they're usually written by smarter people who have optimized them more heavily. So, what you gonna do?
Patting Dado on the back. We've had no smart contract bugs since we deployed V2.
Nice.
So far, it's actually somehow miraculously working. Not somehow miraculously.
Miraculously.
genuinely
lot.
expect it to work.
A lot of smart
There's,
people have looked at that code.
There's greater than 500 Rust unit tests in the DAO contracts repository. Like, we really just completely insane about it. Just that stuff. But
Yeah.
anyways, it's exciting. It's working.
I mean, it's really cool. So, like, taking it back to like you guys, like, what's your let's do the interviewer thing and pretend that we've not ever talked before.
Yes.
47 minutes in.
So how did you? So, I mean, what's your background, both of you? And like, how did you get involved with DAO DAO? And what was so interesting about it that you were like, fuck whatever it was I was doing before. DAO's all day, baby.
Zeke, you wanna-
Okay, baby. Oh, dude, I had the sickest fucking job before this. Working with these super cool people writing open source network monitoring software. The sickest fuck. But I worked at that job for 5 days, and then Juno was like, "Hey, we could give you some dev credits to work on DAO DAO." And this was like, and Juno was like, I was like,
And
"Let's
you're like,
fucking go,
wait,
baby."
I can work in my closet for a magic internet, mate. I'm there.
Yeah, right. It's like,
Dude, I could totally buy a bigger closet.
I can sit real
You
I
should
can
have
sit
seen the
real
closet I
close
had
to my
before the
clothing.
whole market, you know?
This is the bigger closet.
Dude, I actually, when I started on DAO, I did not even. So now I own a futon, but back then I was just sleeping directly on the carpet instead of a sleeping
I've done
bag.
that. Yeah.
See, it looks
At
like
least that was
you
a
have.
carpet.
That
There's
is
some
not a fucking
significant upgrades
futon,
since
man.
I
That
started
is
on
like
DAO.
that is a mattress on the floor. And I see that. Like, are you pretty happy that you can work in a room very close to your inspiration stick? Do you have like? Can you buy bags of inspiration like just in the hallway outside your door there? Or?
Pretty close.
Bags of inspiration.
I would say that's order of magnitude correct.
Oh my goodness.
An order of magnitude correct.
I feel like Zeke skipped over a lot of the philosophical stuff about how we ended up at DAO DAO. But we both to doc this, we both went to Berkeley. That's where we met, and we both had like various internships in the summers, working at different sizes of tech companies, and realized that it wasn't very fun. Even the ones that we did like, it wasn't very fun to work there because they're big and there's churn and friction, and we like to build and we were not really able to build. And then Zeke, you went to a talk with Jake and Nick, right? And that's kind of how the DAO like appeared.
Yeah, I have a very intense philosophical underpinning of DAO.
Good. This is good.
Well, so here's my example. Before DAO, I worked for Cloudflare at 8 months, and once my literally stupid self, as we've said, I'm just actually the intern,
One of the smartest people.
and I modify one line of code slightly wrong, and I took down Wikipedia for 4 hours. And I'm like, holy fucking shit! This private company. I'm no dig against. I love the people I worked with at Cloudflare, but I think just structurally, this private company is hiring an intern, and that intern naturally is stupid and just destroys the internet. And it's okay, we clearly need some better guardrails here. We need something to I don't know, maybe hypothetically speaking, open source software, doing things transparently, might improve how we run internet infrastructure. So that's part of my philosophical underpinning. And then also,
what language were they using?
Oh, we were using Go and Rust, and I think we were. I think that I don't actually. I think that I really think that the problems are structural, and that it's just you got a private company that needs to make money, and as it does, or at least as it's structured to do. And when you're working on a team, that's not your prerogative. It's not to fix that. And so I think within these bounds, we had pretty reasonable test coverage for what we could do, but it was nothing near what I think probably we would have had if we had have been writing open source software and people knew what our test coverage was.
How'd that conversation go? You're like, what's wrong with you people? Why would you trust me with this?
Well, no, it was fine. It was, it happens. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
That's just the reality. But yeah, so that's kind of my I really like DAOs because I feel there's some hope here that we can build one really successful outcome of me for DAO DAO would be like we build a really fucking good way to run an open source project.
Yeah. That philosophical take is what I was hoping for. Very similar experience, very similar and different experience. I worked at GitHub using Ruby on Rails, which is, not fun to work on as a front end engineer.
Ruby on Rails for GitHub, really?
For the front end,
Oh
for the education team. I actually don't know what the other teams use, but
that's what they originally built it with. Like way back in the day, like Tom from GitHub was a big Ruby maxi back in like. Okay, I'm doxing how fucking not young I am, but he was like a big Ruby maxi in like the early mid 2000s and whatnot. That was like, and I think they were one of the first, other than 37 Signal, was one of the first to go really big on the like, yeah, we can run this massive, actually quite high throughput system on Ruby until we can't.
Yeah. It works great, and it's worked great so far. Like, there's no real reason that they need to change other than like developer experience. But I think GitHub is like playing a very big role in the Rails open source project that contribute a lot to that.
Mm-hmm.
I just noticed that Zeke and the inspiration stick both
so did I saw it. I saw that they both disappeared.
Put it on camera.
If I hit a bong inside of a closet with like clothes in it, like clothes are hanging in the closet, what will happen? What will happen?
Yeah.
I'm doing my best.
Smell exactly the same as they would have done anyway. Exactly. But just maybe a day earlier than when you were going to wear them.
Right. I mean, no one's really smelling my clothes other than myself anyway. I don't.
Well,
You're right. Actually,
not yet.
All right. Next.
You could just
time
get an
the
air
inspiration
freshener.
stick comes out.
Just get an air freshener or something.
I actually have an air freshener. What am I thinking? What am I thinking?
Yeah. There's one under the desk here. So, this is just like your classic, you're in a loft, you're in a closet, you're in a small enclosed space. You just like it. I mean, actually.
There you go. There it is. That's it.
I'm bong proof.
You're done. That's it.
There you go.
I feel like Zeke's corporate PFP needs some very specific features.
Ben Davis has just said in the chat, does the inspiration stick get you demonetized? This whole fucking podcast
I have no idea.
An exercise in getting demonetized. We should just like play some more copyright material in a minute, just to make sure that we fucking like nail down that fucking coffin, get it fucking finished, get it closed, Like
the-frey, I don't think since we've begun this podcast that we've done anything that could get us monetized. Not the other way around. Like
if you show
No. I'm certain that it's demonetization that's holding us back. There is no possible explanation.
We could even be early. We could even be early to an actual meme that kind of goes semi-viral in the community and be like, "Oh yeah," blah, 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 and we still can't fucking get our shit together. Like we literally can't do.
We haven't met any of the checkboxes that would make us get proliferated in the algorithm or be monetized. So we're still got 0 out of like 10 for the checkboxes.
What you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Thanks.
What are you gonna do?
We tried our best. What's the joke? We haven't tried anything, and we're all out of ideas. What you gonna do?
So
what you gonna do?
Zeke and Noah, I did notice that you had the fiat on ramp now in DAO DAO through Kato.
Yeah.
Is that have you got anything like how did that end up being implemented? It's like what's the point behind that? Like are we just trying to make it easy for people to get their credit cards out? And
I think the point of it right now is to just like ship something to get the idea out there. But the long-term vision is that you can like click a button and start like a business. You could just run a cafe. And so you can't really do that unless you can transact USD. And so eventually that'll be like more seamless, I think. Like there's really no reason right now, I think, just to use the deposit withdraw fiat to your wallet. Like maybe deposit to a DAO has more use cases right now, but it's kind of there just because it's helpful for people who might not have any crypto or
So currently, like the uses of DAOs at the moment are like not the potential uses, but the actual use by DAOs at the moment are probably like social groups, degens, and some network related things, right? Where do you guys want it to go, or where do you see it going in the future? Like what would be the ultimate use case for DAO for you guys?
The ultimate use case would be a nation state run as a DAO with many sub DAOs that owns land and that runs identity bureaus, and that people identity in digital society is just way more fucking organized, because right now it's pretty much anarchy, which is
It's still a stupid.
It's such a fine line between stupid and
clever.
yeah,
It's just
clever,
a little turnabout.
yeah, no, that's super valid. That's super valid.
So that's quite ambitious.
Yeah, no,
Is there
that's like two, decades, a decade.
Were you about to say about 2 years away? Were you?
I
Two
to what?
decades.
To what?
It was like
200?
we're like 2 to 3 years away.
Yeah, that's my estimated timeline.
2025, 26 maybe.
That's going to be like, fucking, let's resuscitate the old French guys that wanted this in the 1910s. I've got bookshelves full of these guys. I'm sure they're still warm.
So, I mean, maybe you could start with like, a small country like those peanuts who legalized Bitcoin. They might be into it.
Dude, yeah, there's islands, I'm sure. Like, there's so many territories that I'm sure we could do this in like 10 years. But,
it seems a little bit like duct tape and band-aids to have like a country run on Juno.
yeah,
Right now it does. Hey,
right now it does.
3 years.
2 to 3 years.
Like a lot.
Should be.
That's the alpha. That's the takeaway. 2 to 3. No, but so like, okay. So joking aside, like, do you not? So I'm a big into DAOs. Is that for whatever reason I just sort of checked myself as I said. I was like, am I big into DAOs? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm a DAO believer, let's say, but for certain use cases, like I think that the question I have, and like I guess I'm interested in your take on this, is it feels to me like the really anything that is online that is fully like jurisdictionless, right, is multilateral, like makes sense for DAOs. Like there's a huge hole in the internet, which is that we work in this abstract space called the internet, which a lot of us that work in this space sort of see the internet as a real place, right? And DAOs mean you can make a real thing, or like an entity or a wrapper or a conceptually concrete thing to represent an abstract thing in cyberspace. And I'm like, right, when the day I clocked that was a DAO, I was like, okay, DAOs make sense. But I don't really buy that they make sense in the real world, because in the real world I can pick up the phone, I can go talk to the people, I can whatever. But like in the virtual world, it's just inherently, I mean, other than obviously people that you can get on a group call with and then masquerade it as a podcast, like there is just like a lower level of trust. And so having that additional, the cryptography and all the other stuff behind it, like it's just like it all makes sense all the way to the ground. But like, do you guys see like, oh no, this is a thing that should be applied to things in the real world, like in meat space and all that kind of thing as well? Or
Yeah, I do. I think that I would ask, is the reason that you say, like, imagine that DAOs weren't complicated to use.
Okay.
Do you still think it's the case that they're not useful in meat space?
Well, yeah, generally, yes, because most social groups are more informal and so don't need rules-based organizing in the same way. And I guess the difficulty is drawing the line between a DAO being the codification of a set of rules to govern a community and being the privatization of a social contract that is just a collective hallucination, because all informal relations are just a hallucination, right? So and this is also like the wider criticism that people throw at crypto, right? Which is that it's the privatization of money. And this is in a context where governments and nation states have given up on programs of actually doing something and having an agenda and having like here's a grand project we can do, and they instead go, space exploration other than China, privatized SpaceX. They're doing currently as much as most nation states, if not more. Money, crypto, privatized, militaries, MPRI, privatized, Halliburton, there's a load of different things that we've kind of let out of the public sphere, whether that's people think of the public sphere and the nation state, it's really easy to identify those things like space program, but there's a public sphere that's really informal, and it's like people as well. It's like the rest of society that isn't just the state. So there is, I think, like this complicated philosophical thing that as soon as you codify a thing, and especially with this additional, like, it's not money, but it is value, isn't it? Like the blockchain element, you are sort of privatizing and monetizing in the same sort of, in the same breath, which is philosophically difficult.
Yeah, I think so. I actually have a response to your earlier thing. I think I agree with what you say. Like, I don't think that anyone should, nor should DAOs, like, try to computerize the social relationships, or that meat space.
I don't think they even can.
The thing I'd say though is that I also really agree with your earlier point about, I think DAOs do really well in an internet environment where we're working in this abstract space, and yet we have these arbitrary restrictions applied based on something unrelated, which is where we're physically located. And what I would kind of suggest is that there's not going to be very much of that meat space once the internet is what it is in a couple of years. I think that what I would say is, sure, yeah, I agree, but I think most things will in a couple of years will like meet that criteria of like internet space.
Yeah.
I just imagine, like, what was it? The time frame? 2 decades. Like in 2 decades' time.
2 to 3 years now. 2 to 3 years.
Sorry, two to 3
That's
years.
Our time frame.
So I just imagine that in like 2 to 3 years, there's some 4-star general sitting on his shithouse voting on whether or not to like invade China on his iPhone.
Well, no, they've got the Minuteman missiles, right? And they've got 15 minutes to get them fucking away. Otherwise, the US is going to be destroyed with no retaliation. And he's got his ledger, and he's like, "This is the wrong ledger. This is the wrong ledger. I've got to get to the other one, lads." And he's like, he gets back, he's clicking through all the things. He's like, "Launch the nuclear missile." It's time to.
Oh shit! One try left. Oh no!
He's gone. God.
Fuck. And he's like, "Oh no, it's not the main account on the ledger. It's the secret account on the ledger. I need to unplug it and plug it back in." And there's like all these generals surrounding him, sweating. No fighting.
Let's the-frey. You have to. You really. I can't believe that you think they would have a ledger. They're going to have their fucking password written on the back of their hand.
Oh, have you read like Command and Control by Eric?
Password 1A exclamation mark with a custodial key situation.
No, it's way worse than that. For I think it was over 15 years, the US Missile Command left the Minuteman override password to be the default, which I think was 00000. Like there's a great book called Command and Control by Eric Schlosser, which is all about essentially the near misses humanity had during the Cold War. And basically they had all of this theater, and it turned out that the override was just like 00000. And
like written on a post-it on the monitor.
Yeah, I think the guy wrote the book because this was like, I think even in the late 2000s, maybe somebody got arrested in the States for having a pizza delivered to a nuclear missile silo. And they'd stuck a note on the door. They left the silo open, and they'd stuck a note to the blast doors saying, "Oh, like leave the pizza downstairs in the fucking atrium," because the guys were just like smoking weed and hanging out. Because obviously the Cold War's over, and they're just like, we don't need to do shit. So it provoked, obviously, the delivery driver, who was like some fucking spotty teenager, was just like, oh no, this is bad. And so they like called the police or whatever.
He narked.
Fucking kids these days.
Yeah, he knocked. But yeah, I think that was why this journalist basically read the story and was like, "This is wild. I wonder what morale's like in the Strategic Missile Corps." And then was like, "Oh, not good." And then was like, "I wonder how many weird, like, bad things have nearly happened in history." And it's like, "Oh yeah, loads of nuclear submarines where they're running Windows XP or whatever, and all sorts of crazy shit." Good book. Okay, but they wouldn't run a DAO because that actually involves cryptography.
Fuck that.
Way too advanced.
Way too much.
I think to your earlier point, just about how like the system is run on social contracts, is kind of why I think DAOs could run any type of organization, like including a nation state, in 100 years, maybe not 2 years, but like the laws are already encoded in like written text and then enforced by people, and that's all just happening because we all agree, and that could be done through a verifiable, secure storage mechanism, run on a blockchain, run on whatever it's called in 20 years. It's not.
Do you even think there'll be nation states in 100 years?
Hot take.
There'll be Amazon and everyone else.
Oh God, I don't know.
I mean, maybe
It's like the next step in globalization, right? I mean, that'll happen when we have a interstellar adversary. Then we'll just
join into to unite or kill ourselves, kill each other. Like,
yeah, well, kind of a combination of localization and federalization seem like the tendency. Like, they kind of seem like that's what's in the air. Do you know what I mean? Like that, wherever you kind of look, people are like organizing at a very local level, or they're organizing at the whole of Europe. If you look at the Green Party, it's literally like your fucking pretty much your postcode, like the smallest possible area you could possibly have in the UK politics, which is like a ward, very small. Well, obviously every political party does that, but like all these kind of movements, the grassroots bit is literally like, it could be very, very small, a couple of streets. Maybe it's always been like this for political movements, I don't know. Or it's like, the size of a fucking continent and everybody focusing on policy. So it does feel to me that there's like some larger federal, like back to what we were talking about earlier with like multilateralism, right? The reason DAOs make sense is because a lot of the problems we have in the world right now are multilateral. Like one country can't solve them on their own. One group of people can't solve them on their own.
Yeah.
And we don't act or interact with one another as just one person in one country anymore either, because of the communication methods. And that's all just like under the hood. That's all just like this kind of weird multilateral world we live in. And DAOs are also multilateral. I mean, look at Howl. We're spread out. A couple of us are in the same country, but we're spread out. We're across the Atlantic, and there isn't actually it was very hard for us to even try and get a handle on how the fuck we could work together in a way that wasn't illegal in some way. And even then, you're like not sure. And you're just like, fucking hell, man. Like, obviously, like, governments recognizing DAOs, fuck knows when.
Yeah.
Whatever. But you are just like, literally, we're just trying to fucking launch a thing. Like,
we have to organize somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't trust each other. Like, who the fuck knows? We can't actually trust each other.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just like, okay, well, this is a DAO. Like, I mean, like, we make the joke on the show all the time. Like, is this a DAO? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of situations. Is this DAO? Yeah, it's DAO. I think that was actually like the second post on Howl from Schultze. Like, is this a DAO?
That was a good post.
Yep.
I think that standardization is like really key to DAOs. That like the friction reduced by like the standardization of DAOs, that like any local DAO can interact with all the other DAOs that exist in the exact same way. There's no like communication issues. There's no platforms that they have to like migrate to, or it's all like the coordination cost is really minimal. And I think that's what's going to be like the most significant factor in helping these organizations not suck, basically not lose out because they like have to scale or like get big and get bloated and institutional, growth. I think that's actually my earlier point about GitHub. That was kind of where I was heading, is that like this is like one of my favorite tech companies. Like I feel like they're really doing good for the world. And I like didn't like working there. Not because they are bad or because the people I worked with were bad. They were amazing, because the institution just has this friction that has emerged because now there are 2,000 people that have to make a fuck ton of money, and then it's hard, and then just over time it's just
Yeah, but are you just talking about the natural cycle of things, right? Like that's a thing is born, it grows a bit, it grows too big, it dies, you know? Or sometimes it lingers on forever, like fucking corporations where they just keep buying up new ones. But
right.
But you know, that's like the nature of institutions, isn't it? That they accumulate shit until they're no longer fit for service. And maybe that's what back to the joke shit posting, are we gonna have nation states? But equally, are they experiencing the same thing? Like, I don't know.
Structural that sounds to me like a structural issue that like is unsustainable. Like, is that a cycle that we like want to continue? Does that have to happen?
I think it's inevitable. Like in the words of Jeff Rosenstock, nothing's forever, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a point about this.
Yeah,
I think
it's hard if the public institutions all are going to run into that. Like we went to Berkeley and it was like, it's just becoming increasingly a shit show. And it's like not really okay if all of the things we funnel money into will eventually just collapse if they're serving good for a lot of people.
But it's okay because people, there's good folks and there's bad folks and there's people in between, and people muddle along and they make new things, and some things are better and some things are worse. And that's like all of human history, like you just got to try and not be a prick. Unless people really fucking are being an asshole and they deserve it. Like, not being a prick is great, except for like Nazis. Like the Nazis, I think you're allowed to be a prick to the Nazis. Like you probably do want to go and shoot some Nazis, but like most other people,
Yeah, I think to your point too, like I agree that these things we're describing with like organizations that like grow and then like fail to like become less efficient, like that's not unique. Like that'll certainly happen with DAOs. Like it's happening with DAOs.
Yeah.
I think my sort of reason, I think so then that's like we're kind of if this is worth trying, we have to find like structural reasons that DAOs might be different than existing systems. And I think in my mind the two like structural advantages that DAOs have over other systems is the first one, which I think you articulated really well earlier about the internet and how they're not geographically bound. They map well to how we currently work in ways that existing institutions don't. And the second one being that DAOs can innovate very quickly. Compared to something like an LLC or a C Corp, those do not change fast. And things that are enforced by a legal system like have this very like slow process by which they're instituted. But like with DAO DAO, like Wind, uses our contracts and writes their own gauges proposal module. It can just like try that. I think that's
just because
structural advantage.
That's just because we're early, isn't it? Like at some point, like it will get regulated, and then there will be friction in making a DAO, and then it comes back to like at that point, the DAO is useful because there is no other logical way of organizing a bunch of nerds on the internet, right? That's the
right, and then so then the second point matters. Yeah,
right. But to your point, like now is the time to try it. Precisely because try it when you're not going to get fucking busted for trying it, right?
Yeah, try it while that's first structure.
While that's fun to try it, right?
Speed actually exists. Yeah.
But then it's going to be interesting. Like you kind of look down the line, and like let's say something like Juno, where it's now being devolved to sub DAOs and things. You're like, will that fucking model scale? Like it's probably likely that. Okay, prediction, it doesn't scale because, and it's nothing to do with the tech, it's to do with either the people or the politics or the tensions, or somebody doesn't like somebody and that undermines one of them, and then it all, because it's always that shit, isn't it? Like, but like
the humanity comes in.
It's the human bit, isn't it? It's all the meaty users. It's the problem between the keyboard and the chair that's going to fuck you. Well, as much as the bugs and the smart contracts that sometimes gets you too. But you never know when that's coming for you. It's like it's like the joke in Blackadder where he writes that he writes his name on a bullet because he's like, oh, they say there's a bullet out there with your name on it. It's set in the First World War, and it's like, well, I figured if I own the bullet, I'm not going to shoot myself. And his friend's like, oh, it's a shame. But I can't remember where I was going with that. But
it's a good joke, then.
It's a good joke. It's a good joke. It's a good joke. Something. You never know what's gonna. Yeah, you never know where the bug with your name on it is.
Yeah,
that was where I was going with that. It's waiting out there. You just
It's waiting
it
out there.
exists. You just don't know about it yet. But yeah, so like what? So I mean, other than the public keys and stuff, like other than watching presumably some hilarious absolute shit show that will come down, because like DAO DAO, the drama of Cosmos has not hit DAO DAO. At some point, something chaos is going to happen. But like at the moment, it definitely feels like it's still a project where you guys are putting in a load of time and effort and stuff, and people are aware of it, and the use cases are like people are starting to use it in the large. That's starting to happen with Juno and the sub DAOs. That's starting to happen with Wind. You already mentioned.
Neutron is running all their governance on DAO.
Yeah, several of the other chains in Cosmos are running the governance on DAO DAO. We obviously, want to look at doing a Cosmos SDK chain, CW SDK chain, with DAO DAO as the gov module and stuff, and that's like fucking way off in the future. And then there's like, plug Howl is obviously like first class user of a DAO. It's pretty tightly. I mean, it's a social platform so tightly integrated with DAO DAO that it physically does not work. There's loads of things about it that are just flat broken unless you have a DAO to run the fucking thing. And actually there's a few other things as well, like the way it's built with like the moderation system and stuff has like an escape hatch out to make a DAO override essentially a multi-sig. And I think if that platform goes anywhere or if it gets taken forward in time, like that's again obvious stuff where with the newer features in DAO DAO you would go, okay, well, are these sub DAOs? Are they committees? What are they? And if there's one place where everything is going to fucking burn down, it would be moderation. That is that's the one where everything goes to fuck, isn't it?
Yeah. Please do that as much as possible on DAO DAO. Like, really, the harder, most legally challenging moderation. Like, bring it on, man. Like, I'm 23, just got out of college.
Oh my god, yeah, just
Yeah.
That's one of the things in crypto, isn't it? It's just like any week where you don't have to say the word legal is a good week. But do you think there's also, so just literally thinking back to something that I remember from with Jake some time ago, is like going to this talk about how essentially like in various different scenarios humans automatically organize into like these kind of what's the word I'm looking for, like kind of concentric circles of size for different types of organization. I don't think they were, I guess they, because everything in nature is Fibonacci. I bet it is. I remember it's like 1, 3, but obviously Fibonacci is 1, 1, isn't it? But it's like roughly 1, then roughly 3, then I think either 5 or 10, then something, then 100, then 150. I think 150 is the maximum social grouping. Like typically that humans can sustain, because I think after about 200 you can't even remember people's faces. Like our
brains aren't programmed to track all those people's lives.
I think it's like more than 150, and
150, yeah.
You can't imagine that people have an inner world, so they're just like a meat puppet. Like it's a literal like a mental block in our brains.
I believe that. Yeah, I feel that every day.
Yeah.
But that's
sorry, Frey. Did you say that was
because like you've got 1 and the 2 inner circles are 1 and 3. And hey, like every modern military is organized around fire teams of 3 or 4 people, right? They all converged on that.
The Frey, did you say that was a Fibonacci's thing?
Well, that isn't Fibonacci.
The Dunbar number?
Show my ignorance of mathematics here in my humanities degree, but isn't it 1, 1,
it's the Dunbar
3,
number.
5?
Yeah. But the amount of people you can remember is the Dunbar number, not.
Wait. How do you know that? How do you know what that's called?
Because it comes up all the time.
Oh yeah, that's totally
does it come up all the time?
It comes up all the time.
It's like I talk about this every day.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, it does anyway. It's not fucking Fibonacci number.
Dunbar number is how many people live within 1,000 miles of null. That's why it comes up all the time.
It's either 1, 1, 3, or 5.
It's 150 people within 1,000 miles.
Yeah, something like that. Was like the Isle of Man's like a really, really small island I know some people. This came up with tax evasion the other week. I think I know some people that live there, and it's literally like it's a country, right? And the population is like, I don't know, the 4 streets around me, kind of thing.
A large high school.
Yeah, exactly. Although some of those Pacific Islands, same thing. They're absolutely tiny. Like it's something like Rarotonga. It's like 12,000 people. They have a jail that's like 2 rooms.
Looks like Zeke's closet.
Yeah,
It's got
No bond though. No bond.
We haven't been drinking beer for DAO this episode. It's not fun when you're not winding up Jake. Somebody just said in the chat, why are you guys not drinking beer every time DAO gets said? It's no fun if you're not winding up.
I feel like Jake just dropped in and then fucked off real quick.
Yeah,
As he does.
Just to complain.
as he does.
It's like they're not calling him an asshole. So he's like
I'm out.
public relations disaster averted. And it can go back to what it was, I think.
Getting reasonably close to hour and a half. Did we want to touch on Alliance, Frey, before we get to the end, or do we want to ignore that part of the spreadsheet?
Oh, it's in the spreadsheet.
It is.
Okay,
There's a
cool.
bunch of
Yeah, I'm just going to read directly from the spreadsheet. Alliance. What the fuck is it?
What the fuck is it?
Yeah. So what the fuck is it?
So as far as I know,
Wow.
and I did recently attend a meeting. It is basically it's a module for the SDK, and it allows token holders of other networks to then come and stake tokens. For example, like Terra come and stake some Terra tokens to validators on Juno, for example. But yeah, obviously there's more to it than that. The stakers of Juno can determine through governance how much of the inflation or the rewards that they want to distribute to each one of the other participants.
So it's mesh security, but not with the smart contract, but written as a module.
Is that what it is? That's what it sounds like it is.
I don't know. It's not, because
Wait, is it a DAO? Is this a DAO?
it's not a DAO.
Gonna have a handout.
So as far as I can tell, there is no effect on security because it doesn't contribute towards your VP per block if people delegate to you over Alliance. So
where do the rewards come from?
Yeah, what's the point then?
So the rewards is the distribution of the staking rewards. So I mean, what is the point? It is.
Do they get part of the mint?
Wait, is it?
It gets part
What
of
is the point?
So it's like osmosis,
It gets part of the mint.
liquidity incentives kind of thing. They'll incentivize you to stake on the network to secure it more. What?
Well, I mean, it doesn't secure it. Is the thing.
It doesn't secure it, right?
It's more
That's
like
what
it doesn't. No, yeah. So far as I can tell. So what it does is, I think it's like supposed to be, like a buddy.
A circle jerk?
You stake on ours.
It's a circle stake.
You stake on ours, we'll stake on yours. Type
It's a
thing.
circle stake.
It's definitely a circle stake. That's the definition of circle. So if it doesn't add to VP, but they still get part of the mint. How would they get part of the mint if they're not helping secure the network? That doesn't make any sense to me.
So I guess what happens is that through governance and the native module, you vote on how much you want to distribute of the inflation to, for example, the Terra stakers on Juno. So, it might be 10%, right? So 10% gets cut off and it goes to and gets distributed among the stakers from Terra who are staking that IBC Terra token to Juno validators, for example.
So it's a network incentive to be able to build visibility to a new network from an existing network, right? Like, because there's no other value other than
if there's no security implication, then is it not just masturbation? Like, it serves no purpose. It's a marketing spend.
Is this masturbation?
It definitely seems as though it is a marketing thing. Yeah. And it seems like it would benefit networks of lower economic value.
Yeah. It seems like it's a way to be able to build visibility. Like it's an incentive of some sort, right? Like you're using it as a way to, I don't know.
Is it
For example,
is it bidirectional or does it pull towards the center of gravity?
So if, for example, say, I don't know, Carbon implemented it and Terra implemented it, then people on Carbon could stake Carbon on Terra and people on Terra could stake Terra on Carbon. And then, they might distribute part of the rewards to each of the network. So it's a weird way, like, on the reciprocal network, you can earn their rewards token. So I guess you're carrying a price risk on one while receiving rewards on another with a different risk profile is the way I could see it. But
so it is literally mesh without the security part. So it is just circle staking.
Yeah, but I don't see, like, my own opinion is I don't see why you'd want to carry the risk of the token value, or like I don't see why.
What are you talking about?
No. Don't make me fucking mute you,
Terra
man.
has never been.
I don't see why you would want
muted,
to.
Trey.
Yeah, you fucking always talking over me. I don't see why the holders of Juno, for example, would want to just give 10% of the staking rewards, which they're taking the price risk on holding their Juno and staking.
Right.
And give them to another network's stakers. Like, for example, like what if what about when the USDC ICS network comes, right? And then people are like, yeah, we want to integrate with that. And then you've got people who are holding a stable with no interest in the network or price risk whatsoever, earning rewards from, Juno or Terra inflation. Like it doesn't, you're not invested in the network. Then why should you like receive the rewards? It's a strange concept, which maybe I don't fully understand what's going on there. But if anyone else could like put some positive spin, I'd be interested to hear it.
Well, equally, as I was saying, like when has Terra ever been, volatile in price? It seems like there's no risk to me.
Yeah, man, it's practically a stable, right?
Yeah, exactly. Basically a stable coin.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean,
so the next one on the list is Comet BFT.
Oh right, the artist formerly known as Tendermint. Mm-hmm. I made that joke last week, but I felt like I wanted to resuscitate that.
Yeah, just get it one more last hurrah with it.
Look, we're already past the point of circle staking here. So
right,
yeah,
the Dex prop on Juno then.
Dex prop. Oh yeah. So
I think that's Hopers, right?
Yeah, this is like the Hopers. Is this the Hopers and the? Well, because this one I think is more about, this is Null's opinion corner on providing liquidity incentives from the community pool, right? Because there's a bunch of funds that are left over from Prop 14, I want to say, which was originally Juno swap incentives, and I think there was a move to put them towards wind, and then Hopers were like, no, it should be split between our very low liquidity decks and this other decks, which I mean, I think it
should go back to. I think those incentives should go back to the community pool, and these fucking dexes should stand on their own 2 feet with their shitcoin.
And that's why it was on the spreadsheet, folks. clip that for the YouTube shorts.
Done.
That's
I mean, look, going straight after staking rewards is. I think you need to like develop your platform off your own 2 feet first before you start like trying to bootstrap it with tokens from other interests. Like maybe the Juno holders might want to, like if it becomes a popular dex with some amount of liquidity, like maybe there is some call to have like some additional liquidity incentives to boost it. But I mean,
is there an argument that the main pool on it, let's say, is like Juno Wind, let's say, and that in order to compete with established dexes in the space and make a bet on a Cosmwasm dex being able to out iterate them, there is a speculative financial move to say, we'll fund this because we want to see it used, and we want it to get mind share and use that for marketing, and then use that to then make its inroads, and then whatever. Because like, I mean, I guess it boils down to whether you think that it matters that the DEX is on the same chain that you want to launch decentralized applications on, right? Because if the answer is no, you just use osmosis. If the answer is yes, then you want a DEX on Juno, right?
So I think there should be multiple DEXs, but I also think they should grow with their community and develop themselves without outside value pumping them up. So I like the biggest beneficiary of outside incentives coming into a DEX is the main pairing token, right? Whoever holds a lot of the main pairing token is the main beneficiary to any outside incentives, because they use those incentives to increase the liquidity of the pools, right? And whether you're increasing let's just call the native DEX token X, right? So whether it's Juno X, Osmo X, bloody stars to X, all of those pools are all paired with X. And then as you increase the liquidity in each of those pools, it increases the depth for that X token, right? And so the biggest beneficiary is that X token. So I think that people who want that, like, the people who are most interested in making that DEX successful are the people who hold that X token. And I think they should be footing the bill for making it popular, not the holders of other tokens from pools.
Right, but if that's a brand new DEX, a brand new token, the token might literally be worth fuck all. And so they could rub all of their pennies together and come up with jack shit, right?
So the way that people in the past, networks in the past try to build their liquidity is by giving away their token to people in the hope that they'll pair it and provide liquidity to get the incentives. But I mean, the whole model is just a little bit unsustainable for the most part. And you really need, the only way they survive is popularity and features, right? So people will just accept that base token as the pairing token if you have a good UI, UX, features, speed. Like if it's convenient to go and use that DEX, then people will want to use that DEX, right? But if you're non-competitive in that sense and you're just trying to increase your value of your DEX with external incentives, then you're not doing a good job. So osmosis is a reasonably pleasant place to do business in terms of swaps, right? So that's where people gravitate to. It was the first, and it is a pretty smooth experience. It's fast. It has relatively few issues, and people are going to want to use that. And then as more people come and use that, then they generate more value out of fees for the staking pools and stuff like that. Whereas other DEXs that are trying to bootstrap need to, I think, concentrate on the UI and UX experience first before they start trying to increase their liquidity depth or trying to increase the value. Otherwise, they're really just, trying to increase the value of their token to, I don't know, whether they're trying to just increase the depth of their token so they can sell some, or whether they're trying to be able to sell some for development reserves or something like that to improve their DEX. Unless that's really clear, I think that just being a DEX and asking for incentives is a little bit unclear in intention and potentially disingenuous.